Morning all, I'm Brad Jefferies, the head groundsman at Colchester United, and today we're just going to do a bit of a day in the life really on a match day and sort of go through what goes into making a match day happen at Col U. So I joined the club in October 24, so been here for about 10 months now, thereabouts. I had a phone call from the chairman, Robbie, in September of last year, and he just sort of spoke about coming down for a chat, and Robbie convinced me that this is a really good club. It's a club that's hopefully moving forward, especially with Danny and Nicky, and I just really like, it was a club that had some challenges and some problems, and I really wanted the challenge, and I get sort of a kick out of solving those problems, I guess, and making it continuously better and better as we go on. So we're just about to start cutting the pitch before our match day. So these are the mowers that we use to cut the stadium pitch. It's a Den SG 760 with an 8-bladed cylinder cassette. Our height of cut on a match day, especially in the summer, is 23mm. So the way we do that, we've got this bolt here, get the tape measure, and then we just measure from there to the bottom of the bolt is 23. And then all we do is just tip the mower back, place the bar underneath these pieces of paper, just to check the cut of the mower. So they're to replicate basically a grass blade, so if it cuts paper, it'll cut grass. And then you just get underneath here, and you can just... I'll probably leave them in the pitch for now, mate, because we'll keep the data going. Yeah, you can speak to Tom for a bit, because I've had enough for speaking.
My name's Tom, I'm one of the groundsmen here at Colchester. I've worked here for 2 years now.
What music do you want to go through?
Well, I don't know what I'm going to go for today, a little mix. Might throw a podcast on, because I've got quite a bit of headphone work today, so you don't want to run out of options early doors.
Yeah.
Might go podcast. Here we are, this is Oasis. Let's throw in a bit of Oasis. Crash on Wonderwall. Hang on, is that copyright? You're going to have to use it. We use string lines for the edges of all the cutting bays, and it's just to make sure that the lines and the pitch pattern looks crisp and sharp, and lines as straight as possible. It doesn't look like we've had 15 beers before we've cut the pitch. And then probably the question I always get asked, and every groundsman in the country would always get asked, is how you put the pattern in the pitch. And it's nothing to do with like paint or anything like that. It's as simple as we've got the 2 rollers on the mower. They'll push the grass in one direction. And so literally we just push the grass one way, push the grass the other way. And actually if you stood in the centre circle and looked down one direction, it would look one pattern. And if you turn around, it would be the opposite on the other way. So when I get down there, I'll go down the light shade. When I get down to the other end, what currently looks dark will then look light.
So I'm just putting up the netting, which will stop the crowd getting hit by any shots which miss the training goals. Practicing before the game. Obviously I knew Colchester was a great club, and I was looking for a career change, and I obviously love football and love being outside, so it was the perfect job, and the club have been great. They put me through my qualifications, so I'm now a qualified football groundsman, so that's been good too.
Yeah, we spoke about all sorts of challenges really. I mean, it was mainly focused around the stadium, in terms which are well documented challenges that I know we've done in the renovation video. and it's just well known in general around the footballing world. I think that we've had some problems over the past few years. So that was the sort of the challenge. But I think also as well, with Florence Park, it's a fantastic facility that has a lot of potential, and hopefully, year by year we're going to sort of start to see a bit more of that potential be fulfilled. So pitch 1 at the training ground is significantly better than it was last year, with the drainage that got put in there as well. So the first team have used that all pre-season and the start of this season, and it's held up really, really well.
Okay, so this is the laser that we use to mark the lines on the pitch. So this has a laser on it, and it shoots a laser down, and we put one of these at the other end of the line, and then the robot marker, which is just over there, will then follow that laser, so we get a perfectly straight line. This is our line marker, which will paint the lines on the pitch. I've already filled it with paint, so yeah, this works off a laser. So we set up a laser behind it, and then there's something that we shoot the laser at down the other end, and then the machine is then able to follow the laser to give a perfectly straight line. Just checking that the paint's coming out correctly, and now we're ready to go. Okay, so this is the laser machine that we were talking about before, so I'm just going to set up this laser to shoot towards the receiver at the other end, just to make sure we're going in a perfectly straight line, and then we'll align it to the machine. Make sure not to step on the lines that you've just marked out, and then leave footprints all over the pitch. We also try to roll the machine with the light shade of the pitch, because if you roll it with the light shade, you're following the pattern of the pitch, and then you leave less wheel marks. Basically, they've just got to be a certain distance away from the goals. They've got to be 3 metres back and 1 metre off the touchline, which means they're in the perfect position for the television camera.
We've got an outstanding team here. So some of them were here when I arrived, and some we've brought in recently. So we've got Tom, who's my deputy. He used to be based at the stadium. He's now taking more ownership on the training ground. We then also recently brought in Tara, who is predominantly based at the stadium, and she will do all of the sort of day-to-day cutting, maintenance at the stadium. And then we've also then got Ben, who's our new apprentice, who's doing really, really well. And he's more based at the training ground. So, and I just tend to float between both sites. So I tend to spend the morning in the training ground, get everything set up for training, get training going. Then I come here in the afternoon, and we'll do any sort of spraying, fertilising, etc. And so yeah, we've got a really good team here. We'll stand up here, if my legs allow me, and then I basically just take 3 photos of the pitch, do the same 3 photos in the same place every match day, and then I can keep them as a record on my phone, really, just to sort of see how the pitch progresses throughout the year. Can compare for notes to last year, and sort of see like direct comparisons of where we were and where we are, and just sort of see how the pitch develops, really. And it's also another good way of actually double checking everything in terms of marking out, making sure that just go around and do a quick scan that all the corner arcs are done, all the 10-yard dashes for the corners are done, penalty spots are done, etc. Tom's just finishing off a little bit of the marking out at the back. We finished cutting the pitch. I checked my phone afterwards, and it was a 7.2 mile walk, about 19,000 steps. So yeah, there's a lot of effort and graft that goes into preparing the pitch. I have often joked with some of the sports scientists about putting a GPS vest on, like the players have, and seeing actually how many mileage and heart rates and all that sort of stuff. I did 24 miles. But that was what I was saying to you earlier about how good someone actually knows what they're doing on a match day. Tara did the other day was really good, and the main goals you did earlier on in the year. And then do 3 for 3 minutes, 2 for 6 minutes, and then do we can sit up on the box 8 for 6 minutes, 9 for 3 minutes, 10 to 12 for 6 minutes each, and then we'll do the infields for 10-15 minutes. We're aiming for probably between 20 and 25% moisture. So we'll check what the current moisture of the pitch is, and then we'll water accordingly to raise the moisture of the pitch so that the pitch ultimately holds together throughout the game. We'll also do some pitch testing as well in terms of the firmness of the pitch, which I'll then do a report for Danny and Nikki and the rest of the coaching staff and sports science staff to just sort of give them an idea really of what to expect of how the pitch is going to play. And then it's a case of waiting for the players to sign. Clay hammer, which we use to test basically the firmness of the pitch and how hard it is. So again, if the pitch is too soft, it's more likely to cut up, but also the players aren't going to be able to get that explosiveness that they want out of the surface. So they're going to almost, when they say about pitch being heavy, when you speak to players' feedback, generally it's because it's quite soft. But on the flip side, if a pitch is too hard, over time that will cause other injuries to the players because it's obviously going to be a higher impact on their sort of knees, ankles, heels, etc. So again, what we do is, I'm really sort of technical with it. I basically just draw a rough pitch map out, and then we take 20 measurements across the pitch. And then I'll basically formulate that into a document which I send to Danny and Nikki and the chairman and anyone sports science. And it's basically got all the pitch data testing in there. I'll put in about the weather for the game in terms of what we're likely to expect during the game, because again, weather conditions can impact the game and what we do in terms of first half, second half. With this machine here, all we do is lift it up to the line, drop it down. What we're aiming for is anywhere between 70 to 100 is good. Ideally, we want it probably around the 90 mark, because that's going to be firm enough for us to be able to, especially for our express pace players like Aurora and Kyrese, when the pitch is slightly firmer, they can really hit their top loads and hit their top speed. But also balancing that act with obviously making sure that we're looking after the players and not causing any long-term injuries or fatigue through muscle and bone sort of soreness from just heavy impact constantly. So we've got a couple of these turf pods, what they're called, from a company called SGL. So these sensors will stay in the pitch basically 24/7 unless we've got a match day, and they give me 24/7 data back on the pitch in terms of, the main one for us is soil moisture, but they also give me the soil temperature, the ambient temperature, soil salinity, and also the amount of micromoles that area of the pitch is getting. So when we get especially more into the winter months, we've got quite a big south stand, which causes quite a lot of shade issues. And these pods basically tell us how much light the pitch is actually having in a certain area. So again, we can try and manage our maintenance accordingly. So obviously the amount of energy and light that the pitch is getting for photosynthesis.
One of the big tripod, didn't he?
Yeah. I said this is the price you pay to be in.
That's the number.
Thank you for the donut. I needed the sugar boost, so thank you very much. Film me eating a donut. You know, I interact with the players on almost on a daily basis at the training ground, and they're a really great bunch of lads, to be fair. A really good group this year. And yeah, you know, I'll get feedback off them around the pitch, and don't be wrong, they'll be more than happy to tell me if something is wrong. But yeah, the main thing, I see my job as like we've got a duty of care to the players, not only to provide them with the best playing surface so that they can, you know, show off their skills and qualities and ultimately win on a match day, but also we've got a duty of care to them as people to, you know, ensure that, you know, these are high level athletes and we've got to look after them. You know, it's something like 40% of injuries is non-contact related. Now it doesn't mean that all those injuries are down to the pitch, but there's certainly an element that can be, and you know, we've already been hit by a couple of big injuries that were just sort of freak accidents really. So we don't really want to use Nicky Cowley's term, add tax, which I love that. So we don't want to sort of add to our problems by having an unsafe playing surface. And you'll see later on we do quite a bit of pitch testing to ensure that the pitch is where we want it to be and make sure it's safe for the players, because, you know, ultimately when they're out there we need to look after them, and you know, they're putting their bodies through quite a lot to perform for 90 minutes. So if we can set the pitch up to our home advantage in terms of how hard we want it, or the traction, or the height of cut, or whether we water or not, it all sort of, it's them small little margins that can sometimes add up to the win or not.
I'll just tell you that. Stop, we're not doing anything. Jumpers and a water suit. I've been here 10 months, I've got 2 t-shirts and a pair of pajamas. Someone else's top. Yeah. It's like the traditional version. Good afternoon.
You're going to do 1 and 2, you've got to do all 3, what are you doing?
These are the sort of divots we'll get, like little scratches and stuff like that at the moment. So we just tap it to stand it back up, after the warm-up at the moment, there's not a huge amount. But you're just looking for like bigger scrapes like this, so we'll just give it a bit of a tap. That'll be that kind of repair. And it's just like repairing little scars. All these little marks, and just knock them back together. Yeah, by the end of the day, at the end of the game, every little foot mark, every step that a player makes on the pitch will repair by hand over the days after the game to repair it. But so far, the pitch is holding up really well from the warm-up. And ball roll was good, speed was good, so we'll get the water on now pre-game. And hopefully we get off to a good start.
Andy Wing will be delighted with that start, but not if they can concede here. Some battles going on in the middle of the park, it has to be said. Those battles fair, says referee Bannister, thus far. Aurora Edwards angling, good ball forward. Here's Tavai with a shot, good save. Stanway stood up well.
Because you can actually see the repair. There's some of the scratches, people will be like, what are you doing? So post-game, we've obviously put the goals away, got all corner flags and all that sort of stuff in. we've changed our plans slightly. We were going to stay and rake, but we've made the decision we're just going to spray instead. So basically we should have done a recovery spray across the pitch. So we treat the pitch like an athlete. So the players, in the days leading up to the game, players' nutrition needs to be spot on to get, so they can peak at their maximum performance on a match day. The pitch is exactly the same. So we do a pre-match spray and then a post-match spray. So the guys now, obviously the game's finished and they'll be, getting in electrolytes, getting in, various things they need for their recovery. So it's the same with the pitch. So we're putting down a product called Stress Buster. So it's a 20 litres of that. We'll probably put in 10 litres of seaweed just to help with, again, a bit of stress, help the roots and just the general recovery of the pitch. And then we're also going to put in a wetting agent today, which will help with moisture retention in the summer and just try and help us try and reduce our watering needs, but also help the pitch hold on to moisture as well. So hopefully it plays better as a result. You get the blue spray can, mate, that goes down the edge behind each pit goal line. There's some blue dashes every 2 metres. Yeah. There. Okay, yeah. There. You can just redo them for me so it's easy to see. That would be great. So this is our makeshift mixing tank that I've sort of created. So it's an IBC and then it's a pump that will basically mix the tank. Because we've got such a small sprayer, it's probably going to take me about maybe 5 or 6 tank loads to spray the whole pitch. And if I was having to measure that out every time, it would take forever. And there's also the risk then that not every spray tank will be the same strength. Whereas with this, I can basically fill it up to whatever I need it to be. Put the whole spray mix into this tank, and it mixes it for me, and then I just decant it straight into the sprayer. This is the liquid seaweed. Blue, yellow, warrior. No, I've got it now. Where do you need the two? Actually, no, I'm going to make it easy for myself. I'm going to start at the far end and we'll get progressively easier. So yeah, so it's the end of our day really. We've just finished spraying the pitch, and then we'll. So we've had a bit of a problem with our irrigation system for a while now, but we'll probably stay and manually water the pitch, which will take maybe an hour to 2 hours, just to wash in the spray and help with the recovery of the pitch again. Again going back to that athlete sort of analogy, getting that water in again helps that recovery process and helps stand the grass up. We're going to leave the pitch for a day or two. I might pop in tomorrow, but we're on the whole we're going to leave the pitch for 2 days and just let it sort of stand up and breathe. And also with it being a bank holiday, try and look after my staff and give them a rare day off. Huge thank you again to Tom, who's been with us most of the day. Smashed it out really, and overall I think the result was was not what we wanted, but the pitch played really well. So from our point of view, we're quite happy. In terms of the damage as well, afterwards was minimal. So yeah, end of a very long day. Match days are always a long day. We looked earlier, and I think my step count's at just over 36,000, which is about 15 miles. So that's sort of a fairly standard match day for us. So I'm going to go treat myself, I think, after this. Oh, what a day! I go home now.